All right, Nick. Little pub there for Chatterbox Bengals for all you Who Day fans. Joe Burrow and the boys looking to knock off the New England Patriots this coming Sunday. I would say at Paycor Stadium, but I don't really know where they play. I do know if you're looking to get tickets to that game, you can go to the Game Time app, download that app, and use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Hey, when they ask for ad reads, Nick, next time, when they inquire, just throw a little snip in there. Be like, hey, if you really want us to let you know every single other time we do this, it's going to be hard to keep track of. But that's just the type of guys we are. We're really nice guys.
Are we even required to do it 7 days a week?
I don't think so, but, who knows?
It's a lifestyle for us.
Exactly. If you're in on our team, you're in the team. Like, this isn't like, oh, well, they didn't do it here, they didn't do it there. You're supposed to do it here, you're supposed to do it there. You're right. It is a lifestyle. Shout out to John, his team at DSC.
Our chat knows our sponsors better than we do.
No doubt. Every time someone's like, hey, do you think you should do the sponsors like that? Or I'm like, well, first of all, we don't really do like a ton of sponsors. I don't really believe in going out and getting like 900 sponsors, but just enough obviously to pay the bills. But what I was gonna say was, if you don't, you're ahead of me. That stayed in the park. Wow. Okay. Sure didn't seem like it by the way that guy was looking. Anyways, what was I saying? Ask
told us again.
Yeah. Ask our people. Well, to be fair, it was off the end of the bat, but I thought that thing was
halfway up the sun moon deck.
For sure.
All right, I'm paused at 8.
Okay. Fraley's throwing the ball back in on the slow-mo replay. 10, 9, 8, 7.
We're
6,
partying.
5. The pitch. Ball high.
And a ball. Yep. It's incredible how good we have gotten at syncing up.
Well, you're the one that has to sync up, so you say we. I'm not going to take any credit for that.
You still have to let me know the appropriate time, and
I have to coach you in. I got to count down a pitch clock. That's tough. I'll take the credit for it. Hey,
well-oiled machine.
That's right. I'll take it. You're very good with the start-stop on the DirecTV. Now, I don't know if it's worth the $495 a month that you pay for it, but something to think about. You know what's funny?
I'm honestly considering finally pulling the plug.
This is inside baseball. This is inside baseball. This is the types of things. This is how you know you're watching people incredibly authentic, is we just shoot the breeze like this. For somebody that penny pinches, you go to the gas stations and all that on that gas trip, and you're like, I really want it, but you know what? I can't muster up the courage to spend those $2. And I'm not making fun of that. All right, it's an out. I'm not making fun of that. I respect it. But what I am going to say is, it is, on the other hand, very kind of unique to me that you were just steadfast on keeping DirecTV at like absurdly ridiculous prices.
Well, I penny punched so I could have DirecTV trades.
All right. Fair enough.
I don't. To be completely honest, since I've started in Chatterbox this year and working in sports, people are probably gonna think this is crazy, but I think you may agree with me. I think I watch less sports now.
Yeah, you do. Well, not to get down that rabbit hole, because that's a long one. It's.
I watch less sports with an investment.
I feel blessed to do what we do. I do.
Yeah.
I also sometimes marvel at the idea of sports being an outlet. And I'm not saying I don't enjoy them, because I love sports. My wife will tell you, that's all I do. But there is something about the idea of just something happens on a sporting event in Cincinnati, and you just don't have to worry about anything. There's no worrying about whether or not someone's doing their job, making sure they clip this or go and do that or whatever else. Just watch it, take it in. 2 outs, 2 strikes, Nick.
Let's do it.
Oh, he wanted to. Wouldn't have been a strike, but he wanted to. Nick, I got something for you, too.
Okay.
Oh, look at the kids out there. They brought their parents' broom. I'm gonna wait until this last this hitter right here. I'll say what I was gonna possibly say. No free ads, but this lemonade is very good. It might just because it's a little hot outside. Came inside. Also, my basement, complete disaster. I'm working on a whole new setup. I don't think I'm going to break the setup up till the end of the year, though. I don't think I should. Something about like a new year, new you type thing.
I like that.
But yeah, I'm clearing out some spaces. Put a lot of hard work in with no real clear, concrete reward yet. You know, you ever done something like that where you just been doing something for so long? You're like, dude, I've been working for this for those long and still don't have the final product. That is the ball game. I was gonna say, Nick, for every time Alexis Diaz kind of scares you, makes you have a heart attack, does all these things, I think that there's more of these type of outings as well that you just forget about because they weren't stressful. I'm gonna start pointing those out.
25 for 29 this season.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you something. If all 30 Major League Baseball teams were offered an opportunity that their closer would close out of 29 games, they would be successful 25 times. How many of the 30 take that?
30.
Yeah, thought so. Well, here's what I got for you. I got an intro for you, and it's not short.
Bench to bench. Change hit in the air to deep right field. That goes Clemente. It's a save. He's done. Get out of here, baseball. He's gone. Oh, my God. Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep. In the dirt. It's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant. Larkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive, hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down for the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Reds win. Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey.
Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer failing for the second time in his major league career. Has tossed the nose. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream to get into the career of Jay Bruce.
Uh-oh.
It's a businessman special sweep edition of Chatterbox Reds. I'm well aware that the background that you're seeing right now is maybe not the most pleasant, but you know what? I don't care, because what a beautiful day it is that on a glorious, nice, sunny day in Cincinnati, you take care of business in the middle of the day. Me and you, Nick, get to talk a little bit baseball here for the next 30, 40, 50, who knows, hour long. We never know how long these go. And then we get to have our night. You know, you don't always get to have nights doing Chatterbox Reds, but tonight we do. Just something about the Astros, you know. Maybe the most successful team, arguably, without question, in my opinion, they're the most successful team over the last 15 years, 10, 15 years, whatever number you want to pick. And the Reds just have their number for some reason. Seems kind of weird.
Love baseball, man. You just love baseball. Like these kind of games are like the games the Reds couldn't sniff all year.
Nope.
You know, the Astros starting pitcher gives up 3 hard hit balls the whole day. Rhett Lowder gives up a few. There's a few fire emojis over there. And the Reds just find a way to win a 1-0 game. Brilliant defense. What a sport.
Well, it's not about how hard you hit them. It's about how hard you hit them and where you hit them. And maybe where you hit them is more important. You know, hit them where they ain't. That's what I would tell the Astros. Try to hit them where they ain't. We had some hard hit balls too, man. Espinal had some good at bats, and you know, it's not all about hard hit balls. Poor TJ Friedel hit one about as hard as you could hit one, at least in I didn't look at Savant, but I definitely looked at the TV, and he about took the pitcher's head off. Brown's head about came off. So I don't feel too sorry for the Astros and their, you know, hard hit baseballs. Woo woo woo. All right, we have a box score recap as usual. We'll jump into the deep drive of the day. 9 in a row. I guess that's just going to be the bit now. It's going to be the bit. We'll get to that in a minute. Rhett Lowder, of course, and more on Chatterbox Reds. But before, if you didn't get a chance to watch all of the game or you didn't get a chance to see it, Nick Kirby will run you through the highlights and the details. Nick, take it away.
All right, Reds taking on the Houston Astros. Reds enter with an 8-game win streak against the Astros and looking to finish off a series sweep. Rhett Lowder on the hill for his second big league start. Rhett Lowder went 6 1/3, just 4 hits allowed, 0 runs. Did walk 4, struck out 3, but only needed 82 pitches. Lowder got the help of his defense, specifically Ellie De La Cruz, who made 2 really incredible plays. Also a nice play by Ty France. Tony Santillan came in and got Lowder out of probably his biggest jam of the day. There was a runner on first and third with 1 out. Santillan came in, got Victor Carantini to hit into a double play. Now, the Reds' offense was shut down over 6 innings by a really talented young starting pitcher in Hunter Brown. When the Reds got into the Astros bullpen in the 7th, Ty France continued his incredible series against the Astros. He had a solo home run to put the Reds up 1-0. Santillan would end up getting 5 outs. Really great job by Tony Santillan. And then Alexis Diaz converted another save, now 25 for 29 in save attempts this season. Reds win 1-0. Reds get a 1-run win. Reds now 68-73 on the season, and they have won 9 straight games against the Houston Astros team that has played in the American League Championship Series in 7 consecutive years.
Unbelievable. The deep drive of the day came off well. The only way it could have been a deep drive if you're keeping the, math. If you're mathing here in the middle of a business day special. Ty France, homered. That would have been a solo home run, and their 1-0 victory. It would give the Reds a 1-0 lead, as you will know. 100 mile an hour off the bat, 392 feet, and shout out to DSC. Shout out to DSC and John and his team, and really supporting what is ultimately the game-winning home run today. You know, not always do you get the game-winning home run, but I can, without question, say that it was the game-winning home run. They're a leader in renewable commodities, specializing in biofuel production, used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. 9 in a row. We obviously talked about it at the top of the show. There's nothing really to make of it. I don't make a whole lot of it. I just think it's one of those weird conundrums, coincidences that you run into some fortune against one particular team. It just so happens to be the Astros. And the Astros, I'm sure, they'll bounce back, and I'm sure they'll be playing in the World Series again because that's just what they do. And we'll be talking about how the Reds dominate the Astros, and we should feel good about it. But let's all face the reality. Astros are still a good team, and it is nice to see the Reds play well. And if anything else, I know it's relatively meaningless games is what most people would call these, but you know what? It's just nice to watch good baseball. Like, it was actually fun to watch. This was a fun baseball game to watch. You know, if you can just like peel back the onion a little bit, Nick, and just get over the idea of, whoa, it doesn't mean anything. If you just want to watch baseball and you like baseball and you enjoy it, it's a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, really nice to see Rhett Lowder have some success. I don't think we should make too big of a deal one way or the other how the end of the season goes for him, but this is valuable experience for him. Great to see Ellie De La Cruz make some great defensive plays. Yep. I think he's continuing to improve there defensively, and just you feel like he's just scratching the surface. And yeah, I mean, it's nice to win some games, and the Reds look, they're out of it, but they're gonna have some fun games at least coming up. Playing the Mets, who are a half game out of a playoff spot, and then on Monday playing the team that the Mets are a half game behind in the Braves. So look, they're at least going to have some games against some teams that are fighting for playoff spots, and just great managing the last couple days by David Bell. It just pushed the right buttons. I mean, really, you just have to give all the credit to David Bell for this just incredible turnaround and success.
I knew it was coming. I didn't know when it was going to come, but I knew it was coming. As soon as Santillan came in the game and he got that double play, I thought to myself, well, I mean, I know this. If Santillan would have given up a home run, which has nothing to do with David Bell theoretically, he would have been absolutely crushed. You got to leave the kid in. Let the kid stay in there. And giving up a run all day.
82 pitches.
82 pitches. I actually like the decision, and it wasn't hindsight. I know it easily can be said hindsight. I think that it's smart for the Reds right now to try to guard Rhett Lowder. I think that's the subject matter, really, of what this game was all about anyways. When you turn this game on as a Reds fan, the number one thing that you watched today was Rhett Lowder. That's why you tuned in, more than likely, for a specific thing, if it's not Ellie De La Cruz, of course. But I thought today he kind of showcased why the Reds drafted him as high as they did. It showcased probably why he had a lot of success at the highest level in college. And I think it's just mostly command, Nick. I think it's mostly command, and it's mostly the ability to kind of throw any pitch in any spot. And if you can keep guys off balance like he was able to do today for the most part, throw strikes, I have a hard time believing you won't have a lot of success in the big leagues. I mean, you might not be a top-of-the-line ace, might not be Hunter Green, right? Or hell, we can go down the list of skoo balls and you name it. But I think he could be that good. But I guess what I'm saying is I have a really good feeling that he's got a pretty high floor. If anything, he's got a high floor. I think he's somebody we're going to rely on, for the foreseeable future. And hopefully he's got a couple of these other young cats that come up with him, and he add on Hunter Green, and I don't really believe in anybody else outside of that, which I know that sounds a little pessimistic, but I think you got something. I really do. And I like Lowder as soon as I saw him, quite honestly, throw in Goodyear.
You got to like his ability to mix his pitches. I mean, as balanced of a start as you're going to see, through 24 sliders, 21 sinkers, 24 seam fastballs, and 17 changeups. I mean, just mixes them up well. Only got 6 swing and misses on the entire day. I think that's the one thing that I look at and that makes me go, okay, he's probably going to have some real growing pains here. You're probably going to have a couple starts where it gets away from him. I think we should be prepared for that. But he got 11 called strikes today.
Should have been 12. I mean,
yeah, it should have. And honestly, if would have got that strikeout there in the 7th, I mean, his I don't know, his line ends up looking the same because Santillan gets him out of it, but
Yeah.
just an extra walk on his ledger. But 11 cold strikes. That's a lot of cold strikes, and when you only throw 82 pitches. So yeah, I mean, he definitely has some deception, and like you said, kept the Astros off balance. Let his changeup looked really good at times. It got a really couple, I thought, weak contact against his changeup. So yeah, I'm just excited. This is a great experience for him. I think it's invaluable right now.
Final thing on Lowder I would mention is, one, his mustache has got to go. It looks absolutely disgusting and terrible. The second thing, probably more importantly, is if you don't get as much swing and miss as he did today, you do get the opportunity to go deeper into games. And I know that they pulled him relatively early. I think the reason David Bell pulled him was more or less a psyche thing. It was like, hey, this kid's young. He's still kind of finding his way right now in the big leagues. Let's not make what should be a very positive feeling, a great start, into something else. Because if he goes up there and he ultimately gives up a 3-run home run, it just doesn't feel the same, right? You're leaving the game. You might end up losing the game. David Bell obviously decides to take him out and go to Santillan, and Santillan did his job, more than did his job. But yeah, it's nice to see, I guess, at this point, and hopefully he builds upon it and kind of find himself to where he feels like he belongs at this level, and it's the expectation going into next year that he's going to start at this level, and hopefully that's what ultimately ends up happening for this last, basically what is 3.5 weeks of the season here, with the off days and those types of things. So anything else that you want to jump on Lowder before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, he only threw, his high this year was 88 pitches in the minors, so you're not going to see him go much further than that. In fact, he only got an out beyond the 6th inning one time the entire season in the minors this year, and that was on August 14th when it was a Double-A. So the Reds weren't going to push him. I mean, maybe one more batter if he had, if things were a little bit different in that spot. But yeah, I mean, that's not been their plan all year with him. So I wouldn't expect him to go. I think this is about the maximum you're going to see with him. And he also is probably a guy that they are not wanting to go crazy, far innings wise either. So yeah, I don't think you're going to see much more than today.
I agree. They're going to be very, very protective, and not saying that's the wrong move. All right, jumping into game time. I mentioned on the top of the show, I'll mention it again. If you're looking to go to the ball yard, maybe you're looking to go to an NFL game or college football game, there's one place to turn to. It's the Game Time app. Download it today. Use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y. You get $20 off your first purchase. And if you download the app, you're going to realize that it's very intuitive. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how to find the tickets. It's got a nice little search bar. That's the other thing. I was thinking today, Nick, I was like, Dragons tickets. How am I going to get good Dragons tickets? I know, Big J journalist. I know I could probably go get credentialed. But then here's the thing, Nick. I got to be honest. I'm a fan. I want to cheer. I want to enjoy the game. I want to go there and be fired up if Cam Collier smokes a double in the gap that scores 3 runs and Bazana strikes out with the bases loaded. Whatever it is, I want to be excited about it. I don't want to be up in the media and just kind of be like worried of stepping on people's toes. And I think I'm going to try to find my tickets. And they're on the Game Time app, believe it or not. I'm going to wait and see if they come down a little bit. Some folks in Dayton, they're getting a little greedy right now. Let's just remember, it's single A baseball, everybody, okay? If you got some Dayton Dragon tickets in Dayton and they're on the Game Time app, let's cool the Jets a little bit, all right? But nonetheless, I'm going to use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y, to get $20 off the purchase. And I will be at Dare Field, I think, at this point. I don't even know what it's called anymore. But nonetheless, I'll be in Dayton for the Dayton Dragons using the Game Time app. And as well, 988, thank you to Tony and his team at the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation for supporting us and this show, and more importantly, supporting folks that need it the most at the time when you never know. And if you don't know, well, now you do. That 988 is a resource. Text, call anytime. Mantherapy.org is also a place that you can turn to for a multitude of things that you might feel the need that you need some help with. And it's never a bad time to ask for help, as you say, Nick. And I think the slogan is absolutely great. Life is better with you in it. Reds defense. You have it on there. I'm glad you have Reds defense, because I was just going to bring up Elly De La Cruz. I don't have a whole lot about the other parts of the defense. I just want to say that Ellie, at this point, the one thing I always worry about with young players is this. They come up here, and there's this expectation that comes along with them, and they have an attribute that could lend itself somewhere else possibly, right? But overall, in the grand scheme of things in their career, they'd be better off at one said spot. But if they don't perform well in that said spot for a certain period of time, which even it might be a micro, like a very, very small fraction of their total career, they could get moved before they ever get a chance. And I know I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. I still go back to Aroldis Chapman. I'm not going to do that bit today. But at this point, I am very thankful that Elly De La Cruz has played himself to where there should never be a question about whether he should play infield or outfield. You've been on this all along, and I know you're probably not going to brag about it, but I'm going to say that you've been right about this from the very, very get-go. I've hinted and toyed at the idea of there possibly being the idea of moving him to center field if he struggles. I'm off the train. I'm not even. I don't know if I was ever on the train, Nick, but if I was on the train, I'm officially off the train. He's the shortstop of the future. If you have a problem with that, then I would just tell you to watch more games.
It's just if you really watched Elly in the minors, you just saw him make plays that just no one else can make, and I think it was you should have expected some growing pains. You know, Barry Larkin had a ton of errors his first couple years. I mean, it's pretty natural for players, especially players that are this young, players that didn't go through a whole college career. Like Matt McClain came a lot more polished because he played in the
Matt McClain was playing for UCLA.
12, 8, 9, whatever it is. You know, but yeah, I mean, I think there are certain times where you try to get, where you just don't get cute. And moving Elly De La Cruz is getting cute. Do not mess with the generational talent. Stick with shortstop. Don't mess with them. Make everyone else figure out where they're going to move around and everything else work. Ellie's one of a kind. And I wonder what his ceiling is going to be. I mean, you almost wonder defensively, like, could he actually be the best defensive shortstop in the game?
Possible. It's possible, especially if he can clean up just the routine stuff. And I think the routine stuff is very, very, very. He's very capable of doing that. He's very young, currently, clearly, and I think that there are times where you had mentioned goofing around or whatever term you just used. That's the only thing I think sometimes that probably irritates a certain portion of the fan base that still is perfectly happy with Elly. There are times where he maybe gets a little overzealous in certain areas of trying to make this play versus that play. It's like just like Espinal today, right? A good example would be that the ball where they try to turn a double play. He could have been very aggressive with that ball and tried to, basically be aggressive, go get it and throw it underhand and try to get the double play. He took the little more conservative route and made sure that he got one out, and that's okay. Elly sometimes, because he's so damn talented that I think he thinks he can make the all-star play every single time. But let me be clear when I say this. He doesn't do that a significant amount anyways to where I'm overly concerned about it. It's just the one thing I can think back on and said, well, what are these other people seeing that I'm not seeing, right? Like, how can these other people just hate Elly De La Cruz when he's playing shortstop? And I don't see that. I try to put myself in their shoes, and I think mostly it's just the antics that come with it. It's the throwing style, it's the arm angles, but they don't maybe get a chance to watch this team on a regular enough basis that they get the chance to see what he did today. In a 1-0 game, by the way. A 1-0 game. I mean, if he doesn't make some of these plays that he made today, they might not win. Now, it's hard to put that in the box score, but that's the truth. And I think the more and more they watch Elly play, they'll come around on him. So I'm going to cut those people some slack. It's hard to watch this team play every day. So if you don't get a chance to see Elly a lot, maybe you see him and you catch him playing in Philadelphia in the middle of March or whatever that was, and you get upset at him and you never watch it again for another 2 months. And that's why you think Elly should move to center field. Unless you're Gordon Wittenmeyer, then I have no excuse for you.
Yeah, I mean, Elly is 9th in baseball among all players in outs above average. That's not just shortstops. Among shortstops, he's 4th. But 9th among all players in outs above average, and he leads Major League Baseball with 27 errors. So, I mean, I think Elly's always probably going to be a higher error player just because of kind of the style that he plays. Sorry.
It's all right. Well, you can get to a
More
lot
of
of
like an
balls.
all-
Go ahead.
More of like an all or nothing. But you look at a guy like Gunnar Henderson, who's the superstar shortstop in the American League, along with Bobby Witt Jr., of course. But Henderson has 21 errors. But Henderson has 0 outs above average. So I mean, that's like that's the kind of the level there. So I mean, if he can get down to like Willy Adames right now, for example, has 17 errors. If Ellie could get closer to that, I mean, I legitimately think he's one of, if not the best defensive shortstop in baseball.
I mean, he makes fantastic plays. It's as simple as that. This shouldn't even be debated, but I don't know. I try to leave the door open sometimes and try to view it from other people's perspective, but Ellie's a shortstop. And if he's not a shortstop, then okay, that means we have an unbelievably gifted, talented shortstop that isn't comfortable moving, and Ellie moves to third base, which I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to compare him to Cal Ripken, but maybe you can convince me that once Ellie ages a little bit, maybe his frame changes and some things change. Maybe he moves positions to third base, or maybe he moves the outfield at some point. I doubt it, but in the near future, over the time frame that we're talking right now, he's a shortstop, period. All right, Santillan comes in the game today. Comes into a tough spot, right? He comes in first and third, 1 out, and it kind of felt like the Astros were due. The ball was it was rolling. The snowball was picking up steam. If you want to think of all the different feelings you get in a game where it starts to get away from you. And Santillan, with one pitch, erases the whole thing. So, that obviously was the biggest pitch of the game, the biggest at-bat of the game, in my opinion. I know that you have the Ty France home run we'll talk about here in a second, and I know that you have Rhett Lowder, who went, whatever it was, 6 1/3, and all of that. But Santillan is I don't want to say he's the star of the game, but he made the most impactful play of the game.
Well, Santillan got a little bit of shade from the official MLB account. They tweeted, "Congrats to Rhett Lowder on his first big league win." I was like, "Oh, no, that was actually Santillan." But yeah, I mean, Santillan's just been incredible. I mean, 2.14 ERA. He's got a sub-3 FIP, and it was cool to see him today be able to do it without getting a ton of strikeouts. Obviously, you love guys that get a lot of strikeouts. He's striking out over 14 batters per 9 right now, but he only got 1 strikeout today. So he was able to kind of do it, able to get some weak contact, did not give up a single hard hit ball today. So, yeah, I mean, he's just been an incredible weapon, and he's slid right into that setup role, that top. I mean, he's passed, I think, Emilio Pagan on the pecking order. So, yeah, I mean, he's just an incredible year, and it feels legit. I feel like what he's doing is legit. Relievers are volatile, so you don't ever want to go too far on these guys. Like, you think of like Fernando Cruz,
Sure,
how dominant he looked. But I don't know. I feel pretty good about Tony Santillan being a bona fide big-time reliever for the Reds in 2025.
Well, I'd like to start stacking these guys up, right? Like, if nothing else, Nick, you can have Santillan, you can have Cruz, you can have maybe Martinez. I don't know where he's ultimately going to end up being.
Pagan, I think, is
maybe Pagan. I'm not going to put him there yet. To be fair, I'm not all the way there on Pagan quite yet. But I get your point. Like, ultimately, you stack up these guys that you think could end up being like a back end of the bullpen asset. And it's Cruz's month, and then all of a sudden now it's Santillan's month, and you just try to kind of ride the wave with whoever's hot, and you play the hot hand, and you move on from there. So, Cruz, unbelievable season. Santillan right now, don't want to crown him as having an unbelievable season, but he's having a really good, I guess second stint here, if we want to call it that, in the big leagues. So, Diaz, we just ho-hum, 25 of 29, as you mentioned, for the year. I think at this point, Diaz is undervalued by the fan base, and that's fine. We do this all the time as a fan base. We get high on certain guys, then all of a sudden they don't perform for a month, and then they're the world's worst player. And I think a lot of people think that my personality lends itself towards feeling that way about some certain people. And certainly when you do a show right after a game every single night, you're going to probably have moments where you say things inevitably that maybe you regret later. But I don't want to regret what I said about Diaz because I do think it's true. I think he's a ticking time bomb. It feels that way. But openly, I'll put my hand up in the air and say at this point, when the ticking time bomb takes so long to explode, it's kind of like it's already spoiled. You don't really get to say you were right. The analogy of the day, Nick, I kind of feel like I'm that person in the stands that's annoying and says, this guy's going to hit a home run, watch. And then they don't hit a home run. And then like, this guy's going to hit a home run, and then they don't hit a home run. I feel like I'm on like my fourth or fifth guy of saying they're going to hit a home run. So when the sixth guy hits a home run, Nick, I can't be like, I told you he's going to hit a home run. It's like, well, you've been telling me this for like a long time, and it's not happened. So I'm just going to put my hand up and say Diaz has outlasted how long I thought he would be effective in the big leagues. Point blank, I thought he would be not terrible, but I thought he'd have some serious regression because at some point the jury's out on Diaz. Don't swing at pitches out of the zone, but it turns out it's kind of hard to do that. And I think he's actually been a little bit better. I don't have stats in front of me, Nick, but I think he's been better kind of with his control or command to put the ball in the zone more times than not.
Yeah, he's definitely been a lot better in terms of walk. I think he's only walked like 3 batters over his last like 12 appearances or something like that. So he's been better. Diaz he's like such a roller coaster, especially. I just feel like the pendulum has swung too far on both sides. I feel like there was a point where like Diaz was overvalued and the Reds, I thought, should have tried to move him. And maybe, and to fairness to the Reds, maybe they did. Maybe they did try and no one paid enough for him because, other GMs are pretty smart too. It's pretty hard to pull one over on big league GMs who have 10 guys in their front office that are looking at everything that I'm looking at. Like, I think that there was clearly a point where I think the Reds should have tried to sell high on Diaz. Whatever, it didn't happen. But now it's like to a point where, okay, that's gone. That opportunity's gone. And now, like, it's like, well, you shouldn't be the closer going next year. Why? I just, like, why would you make a move at this point? Like, just ride this out. He has some concerning stats, but he also has not even thrown 50 innings this year. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit and give Diaz a chance to make some of those numbers look good. Like, I feel like there's an overreaction to the season from Diaz. He can be the closer next year and not be the best reliever on the team. Because I don't really love the idea of set closers. So if Tony Santillan's your best reliever, I kind of like being able to use him for 5 outs today and then let Diaz just throw the ninth wherever that falls. Like, it's just one of those things. It's just like you're making a move. What are you gaining by moving Diaz out of the closer role next year? I mean, if it flops, it flops. But he's done it long enough to where I just think you ride it out and you see what he does next year. I think he's earned that right.
I think he's earned that right. And another person that's earned the right to keep playing is Ty France. Ty France at this point has been nothing short of fantastic. In a really, I'm going to say something that really is going to hurt our heart a little bit here. We needed these guys, the additions that we got this year. We needed them last year, and we got nothing. We got, unfortunately, Bader was not good. Hunter Renfroe was terrible. We had a couple shots in the dark that just didn't go our way. It would have been nice to get the production of even France or Rosario. In a weird way, Nick, like, these guys could be helping somebody. Like, I keep thinking that. I'm thinking, like, poor Rosario, like, this guy should be helping somebody. And I'm not saying he's been unbelievable, but he's been pretty decent. Like, somebody could use Rosario. And here he is, playing for your Cincinnati Reds. I just say this about Ty France. I don't know what the future holds. No idea. But this does shine a light on the fact, Nick, that it is nice to get guys that have played in the big leagues. As much as we want to try to, hope that Marte's good and hope that McLean's going to be this and hope that TJ Friedel's going to bounce back and have a good career at this point. Good year, good career, whatever you want to make of it. Will Benson, even Jake Fraley at this point. Ty France, he can hit the baseball. He's a Major League Baseball hitter. Now, where you put him in the field, that's up to you. You debate amongst yourselves on where you think he should play. But it goes to show you that maybe more times than not, we shouldn't kind of scoff at the idea that guys that have been average or above average big league hitters before, even if they've kind of dipped off, if you want to call it that, still hold a little bit of a leg up, in my opinion, over guys that are still trying to find their way. I don't know. That's kind of what I take out of Ty France. I don't know if you have any takeaways from him or you have anything nice to say or maybe not nice to say, whatever you want. Ty France.
Yeah, I am with you. I give Rosario a little bit more just because like his defensive numbers are so bad and he is like a platoon player, but I do not understand why all these playoff teams passed on Ty. And maybe, I don't know, maybe was it a straight trade or did they get him off waivers? I can't even remember.
At this point, I don't know, but somebody in the chat.
I think it was a straight trade.
Yeah, I thought they got him.
If it was off waivers, maybe the Reds just were the first team to claim him, and because they had the worst record among the teams that were competing at that point. Right. But yeah, I don't. What's wild, Trace, is that Ty France is earning less this year than Bader or Renfroe. It goes to show you too. Sometimes you throw a dart, and sometimes it sticks, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yep.
When we get to up next, and the starting pitcher for the Mets tomorrow is tomorrow is a perfect example of throwing a dart and it hits, and you look great when it hits. But coming into the season, I think a lot of people will like Frankie Montas probably more than Sean Manaea. But to the larger point, I mean, Ty France just doesn't fit this team perfectly, but I would like to see the Reds keep him around. I think you could have a situation where you have France, you have CES, you have India, you have Candelario, and I think you have to get rid of one of those guys. Maybe you just have all those guys kind of fight for that first base DH. CES is a guy that can get sent down to AAA and have to really dethrone someone. France could also be a guy that makes you potentially make a move. If there's an opportunity for one of your players that doesn't fit this roster really well, to maybe move and try to bring in a player that fits the roster better. There's a better defensive player that fits like an outfield position. So I don't know. France just gives them some flexibility, but the Reds will have to make a decision on him by I believe the beginning of November. If they're going to non-tender him or not.
He's arbitration eligible. The other thing with Ty France, he was for us going back and forth, not knowing where whether it was a DFA situation. He was traded straight up. They acquired Ty France in cash from the Mariners for minor league catcher Andrew Salcedo. I don't know if I said that right, but so it's a straight up trade. Ty France, in my opinion, at this point, is an insurance policy for Candelario and I hate this. Spencer Steer-ish, kind of, in my idea. And I know Spencer Steer's an outfielder, but I don't know. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what the Reds are going to do, but I just think that Steer playing left field is, if everything goes the way that the Reds would like it, is probably not the area where they'd hope for him to be. I think he would be more of like a platoon. He would be like a better version of maybe what they were hoping Espinal might be able to help them do going into 2025. I don't know. It's really hard to forecast what the Reds are going to do because they've made some decisions, and I think it all comes down, really the linchpin, if you want to call it that, of all of the things that the Reds could possibly do, in my opinion, is how much faith they have in the right side of their infield in McLean and CES. If they don't believe in it at all, then I think they might make a lot of shuffling moves. If they are just going to play very bullish on that and be steadfast in it and take a risk, because it allows them to get rewarded in other areas of the team. If they're right about CES in McLean, then that changes things too. So we'll see what they ultimately end up doing. But Ty France has been a very welcomed addition to the Reds. Final thoughts here before we jump into Reds MILB. I know Reds MILB on a day like today is probably more of a podcast thing. But at least if nothing else, I don't know if you have any thoughts on Reds MILB.
No, just got the schedule here for tonight. Couple notes. Louisville, 6:35 tonight. Excited to see Jose Acuna is going to make his second start since he got promoted to AAA. Guy that I really like has a 1.23 ERA in 29 innings. Struggled a little bit in his first start with Louisville, but He's a guy that was pitching in the ACL league for a while this year. So he's a really intriguing arm. He's Rule 5 eligible, or has to be protected this offseason. So he's a very intriguing player to watch how he finishes the year, because do the Reds protect him or not? If the Reds don't protect him, I think he's a guy that would be very likely to get picked up in the Rule 5 draft. So player that I'm watching. Of course, Chattanooga, 41-86 at 7:35. Make sure you tune into that one. High A Dayton, they're continuing to kind of finish out the week, already clinching their playoff spot. They're at 7:05 tonight. And then the game to watch is Daytona, 6:35, taking on Bradenton. Tortuga's magic number is 2. So if things break their way, Daytona wins, Jupiter loses, they could clinch a playoff spot as early as tonight. 4 games to play. So, a little bit of urgency, but they're in a really good spot. Be great to see 2 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah. Hey, because going to the playoffs in the minor leagues matters. At least it does on Chatterbox Reds. Ned Flanders, he wants to remind everybody, as we did at the beginning of the show, he says, now that all-star coach David Bell has turned his AA pitching staff into an elite rotation, is it time to extend him, or is the firing still on? ? Good question, Ned.
I think we just hold the contract as is.
Yeah, maybe we just pause, or not even pause. We just kind of. What am I trying to say? We're gonna check in poker. You're gonna check, right? We're gonna let it keep moving. Yeah, we're staying. Blackjack guy. I forgot it. Nick Blackjack guy. Ned Flanders said, "Can we not hire the Mariners GM? Ty France is a stud." Yeah, right on cue, right on topic. Ned, I wouldn't say he's a stud. I think he's pretty good at baseball, and he's definitely a hitter, which we kind of like around here at this point, because we've not seen enough of those. Daniel Myers, thank you for being a leader of men. Wow, that's big time right there, Daniel. You earn a medal. 7 months. He said, "Is Ty France a legit target for a bench player next season?" Yes, he is. Yeah, 100%.
The question is just do the Reds want to spend that money on France, because he's going to probably cost about $7 million ish.
Right.
I mean, that's a decent amount of money for a guy that's a bench only guy. But I think France has the ability to potentially be an everyday first base DH type. He's close. He's so too many of these guys that are like,
yeah,
they're close to being good enough for that spot. I don't know if they are. I don't know if they aren't though either. There's so many of those players.
Yeah, that's the problem. We need more solid answers around here versus fringe guys, and it feels like this team's full of just fringe big league players. And I don't want to sit here and act like it's not a foregone conclusion that Ty France can't be a decent or average or above average big league player. He's been an all-star before, so although all-stars are kind of like I don't know, it's just all-stars can be a little tricky. Get hot for
Santiago Espinal's an all-star.
You get hot for 2 or 3 months at the beginning of a season, and next thing you know, you're an all-star, and then that follows you for the rest of your career. All right, got more baseball to play, Nick. Who, what, when, where, and of course, maybe why.
Well, the Reds going with the old TBD tomorrow, and
he's thrown a lot this year.
TBD is getting his arm is sore at this point. It might be Brandon Williamson. It would be his turn in the rotation. I don't know what the Reds' plan is with Williamson. I was pretty shocked to see him pitch on Sunday, but if Brandon Williamson's pitching, I will be excited to watch the game tomorrow. Well, I'm sorry, a little more excited than normal. Let me correct myself. Reds going up against the Mets. Mets 76-64. Boy, did they turn their season around. They are a half game out of a playoff spot at the moment, so some very important games. I'd imagine a pretty packed ballpark all weekend in Citi Field, so look, fun atmosphere for the Reds. It'll be the lefty Sean Manaea for the Mets, coming off 7 shutout innings. They were against the White Sox. I don't know if those count or not. Prior to that, he had been struggling a little bit, 4.56 ERA over the 4 starts before that. Guy that his strikeouts are wild. There was a stretch this season where he had 2 starts at the end of July, struck out 5 batters combined in the 2 games, and the next 2 starts, he struck out 21. So you don't really know what you're going to get, but Manaea looks like a great contract for the Mets this year, 2-year, $28 million. And he's obviously pitched very well, 11-5, a 3.5 ERA. Manaea's pitched well against the Reds, 2-0, 2.70 ERA in 3 games. De La Cruz, Friedel, and Stevenson each have a hit. Ty France, 2 for 10. Ahmed Rosario, though, was 4 for 8 with a double. 7:10 start time, Trace.
7:10. The old traditional 7:10. I don't mind 7:10. I like 7:10. Big 7:10 fan. We have the traditions that I think might die at the end of the year, at least the pillow. But you got to do it for the rest of the season. That's the rules. I don't make them. Someone else makes them. Nice work. Just don't break anything before the year's over. Nice. Stuck the landing. Well, folks, on a day like today, you know you're a true fan if you're in here because, 4:18, middle of a work week, trying to get some stuff done. Maybe you're on boss's time. You ain't worried about it. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to make of it, Nick, but I will say, very impressed that many of you are here. Very impressed. And if the Reds never lose again, as Mouse Cop's saying, then we'll probably have some more exciting shows to do here relatively soon. Maybe they won't lose again. I don't know. I'm not here to be that judge, but I will say it's much more enjoyable to watch the Reds win than lose, so I'm not going to complain about these wins, even if they are what some might consider meaningless. As I said before, I must admit, my basement, look at this place. It's a disaster. I mean, it is absolutely a disaster. And if you could see around the corner, it's even worse. I got U-Haul boxes stacked to the ceiling, going through stuff that I just forgot that we ever even had. My wife supposedly says we need these things. I don't understand why, okay? Maybe you guys have the same problem I do, but what's the need of having all of these things? You could just throw them away, you know? Just get rid of them. Let Rumpke have them. But nope, we want to keep them. Why? I don't know. So when we die, our kids can figure out what to do with it, which probably will end up going to Rumpke if I had to guess. But that's here nor there. We got traditions to hold. So I'm going to try to do a better job than I did yesterday, which is going to go and dunk a basketball. But I just want to say, like the stream if you haven't already. Download the podcast tomorrow. Listen to it. Support our sponsors. Much love to all of you. And go Reds. Most importantly, go Reds, you know? Now I got to find this basketball. I'm going to go dunk a basketball, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day and night and tomorrow morning until I see you again. Athlete.